Okay, so first of all, thank you for coming. As we get close to the end of my tenure here, I had worked on this Arpa funding for the last 4 or 5 months, and I wanted to try to make sure I finished up. So first of all, ordinarily I would have been waiting for the City Council to be making their final recommendations, but that's been delayed. And the final recommendations would not come out until November 16th. And after the first round in September, I met with a variety of organizations and asked them to tweak their proposals, and they've done it. And I indicated to them that I would try to get the final allocations out by October 22nd. I'm a little bit late, but I do want to make sure that I kept my word to those organizations, and I thank them for what they did in terms of streamlining their proposals. So ordinarily I don't have a text. Today I have a little bit of text because I want to make sure I don't miss some points. I do want to thank city councilors. They pretty much know where I was going. I did make the announcement beforehand. Most of what I'm doing today they have approved prior in terms of their thoughts. Maybe not the exact same amount, but they've approved it prior. So let me start off by thanking you for attending this afternoon as I announce another round of ARPA funding approvals. Today, I will be authorizing slightly more than $2.5 million for 17 different proposals or projects. I have reserved for the next mayor a balance of $1,244,762, which could be reserved in case of any future emergencies or for other funding options that they might prefer. Prior to getting into my recommendations, I want to address the issue of premium pay, which at this time is not part of these recommendations. Let me note that premium pay is still under review with the following considerations. First, it is crucial that we make certain that any premium pay approved by the city will be fully within the guidelines of the ARPA rules and that the city will not have to potentially reimburse the Treasury Department. We have until 2026 for any disbursements, and it is important that we do them right. Second, once we are certain that we can fully comply with the guidelines, it is one of the recommendations that this be part of a collective bargaining agreement. Most of our contracts are scheduled for negotiation within the next 6 months or so. Third, the state legislature recently is close to providing premium pay in their package and better defining the parameters for distribution and eligibility. I want to also say, I have not approved premium pay. I have approved a significant number of proposals and projects which I believe have made the working conditions for all of our employees safer and healthier. We've done investments in all of our buildings in terms of air quality, in terms of environmental issues, carpeting, and a variety of other things. We have approved funding in terms of turnout gear for the police department. Today I'm going to be approving additional tasers for the police department. We're going to be approving some trash cans so that our trash recycling people do not have to be carrying, picking up things and picking up needles and other things. It'll all be done by the truck. It'll be provided much safer for the homeowners, and we'll provide a variety of things. I have done what I think in that aspect provides us long-term improvements for all of our workers. And I just want to emphasize that that's been one of my goals. I want to make this long-term as much as possible. But again, all of those things are under review, and it'll be decided. I know there are still discussions, still negotiations, and we will still work on that. As I review the first round of proposals, which were awarded in September, I encourage that those organizations which did not receive first round funding to try to sharpen their pencils. And I had many of them that did that. And I want to thank them for helping me fund more opportunities which can have a positive impact on our community. So let me go over some of the proposals that have been approved. We have 2 capital investments. One for the Boys and Girls Club. They originally had a proposal for almost $900,000, which would have eventually provided 60 daycare slots, but would have needed an additional $750,000 in funding. I met with them. We are now hoping and expecting that with what I am giving them today, $300,000, that they will have 30 additional daycare slots starting this spring, which will allow working families to send their child to daycare, know they can go to work and feel comfortable where they are. Also, that is going to provide 30 additional slots in the evening for teenagers to have opportunities to recreate and educate and socialize at the Boys Club. Connecticut River Conservancy in Holyoke Rose, $128,055 to improve both the River Access Center in terms of how we serve those people using it, but also in terms of boat ramp improvements. It's an opportunity. It's tied into another funding that is going to come down in the future. But what that does is provide more opportunities for people in Holyoke and the area, but people in Holyoke to use our Connecticut River, to use our resources, to get outdoors, to have some recreation and some good physical activity. Board of Health expenses, or public health expenses. I've approved $100,000 for resource trailers. The original request was for $500,000. I've met with Jeffrey Trask, our emergency director, as well as Board of Health and Fire Department. This $100,000 is going to provide us with a couple of trailers so that if we have an emergency, we can have the ability to provide blankets, potentially showers, and a variety of other things that are going to be able to allow us to go to the site and be able to provide emergency services to improve healthcare. Long term, my expectation is we'll end up getting more trailers so that we can provide for more emergency service throughout the community. But they will deal with crisis situations, and this $100,000 is the beginning to be able to take care of that at the immediate site, if need be. DPW solid waste trash cans. These are 90-gallon wheeled trash bins, which will be picked up automatically by the truck. The driver or the trash pickup crew does not have to do picking up. Right now, they're out there picking up. And we've had concerns about workers' comp. We've had concerns about people picking it up and getting pricked by needles and a variety of other things. To me, this is both a health issue for those drivers, but it's also a safety issue and a cleaner environment with less trash on the streets for the citizens of Holyoke. We are going to provide those for all those that are getting collected by Holyoke Trash right now, Holyoke DPW. They would have the opportunity to get another one at additional expense. And I really encourage, once we get these, that we will not be having the little $15, $20 or 20-gallon bags of trash out in the street, that we'll use these and our streets will be much better and our drivers and our pickup crews will be much safer. Job training assistance. I've funded $30,049 for the Valley Opportunity Training Program. They've had an excellent track record. We've been able to get people into training and we've been able to get the people into jobs. Many of them are CDL, and we are looking for CDL drivers in the city. We're kind of hoping this could be a home run on both sides. We provide training and job skills. They come and be our employees. So that's one of the second goals there. We provided $80,000 for the care center, to and through college, to provide more college opportunities which can enhance the earning potential of Holyoke women. And I've asked that these funds be specifically reserved for Holyoke women. This is Holyoke Arpa money, and while I want to support the region, I also want to recognize my first obligation is the people of Holyoke. Aid to nonprofits, Sparky for All, Small Business Development Program, $80,000. Basically, they encourage and mentor new business investors, and they've had pretty good success. We want to see that success continue. We want to continue to provide more small business opportunities in this community. Sparky for All can help us do that. Educational assistance, social, emotional, and mental health services. One of the things I've noticed as I've gone through this process is and if you listen to news reports and other factors, the emotional and psychological challenges to children, to youth, to teens is far greater in this pandemic than maybe it's been, maybe ever. And so I agreed that I'm going to start providing some of those funding. River Valley Counseling Center, Rise to Resiliency Training, $135,000. They'll be working with the schools to try to make sure we get our staff trained to understand and to see what's going on with that kid. Is there something going wrong? We got to be able to recognize that. Girls Inc., together, we rise mental health for girls, $200,000. Again, let's provide opportunities. Let's make sure that we recognize there are challenges, but we also recognize that we can move towards success. The Greater Holyoke YMCA, mental health support for Holyoke youth, $110,000. Again, and I go to the Y. I see Kathy every now and then early in the morning, which I don't like working out, but that's life. When you get this job, you have to get them far earlier. But, and we've talked about concerns that they can see kids having those kind of issues. So we want to make sure that we can recognize the social, emotional, psychological needs of those kids and make sure that we're on top of it, not dealing with it in the criminal justice system, but dealing with it right now. These are all to make sure we provide social and psychological assistance needed to make sure we can recognize any emotional issues in our youth and set up the proper programs to deal with them. And that's a learning curve. And I think we need to invest in that learning curve. We cannot afford to let these kids fall through the cracks. A healthy environment, the Connecticut River Conservancy and Holyoke Rose. This is to get the kids to use the facility and go to the river. This is a youth boating and rowing programs. $196,343 to promote more youth programs outdoors, appreciating the beauty of the Connecticut River, but also encouraging more and more of our youth in this city to take advantage of the river, to recognize the opportunities that the river provides. And I'm very appreciative of Holyoke Rose putting a program together to get many more of our children into that navigating the boats, navigating the, I'm drawing a blank, but you know what I'm talking about. Not a rowboat, but whatever the other things are. Somebody want to help me? Crew. Squall, there you go. Okay, we'll get there. Okay, a benefits navigator, and I kind of found this to be a unique thing, but Alianza works, and they've met with me. Unfortunately, domestic violence has also not been something that has gone down in the pandemic. There are more stresses and more concerns, and they felt there was a need to have more staffing to be able to provide the emergency quick access support to women and children, primarily elderly in some cases, who are being abused. So it's a 24-hour housing assistance for victims of domestic violence, $55,040. Community violence. I would love to be able to eliminate community violence. One of the things my Community Police Relations Board told me at one of our first meetings, and I started talking about shot spotters, tasers, other things. One of the first things they said is, if you're going to fund something, fund tasers. We want police to be able to respond and be as safe as they can, and have the alternative to be as non-aggressive as possible, to make sure they're safe, but to make sure that we can have it under control. So I'm pleased to announce that $138,000 is going to provide 40 additional tasers, to provide the upgrades on equipment, and to provide training for every officer in the Holyoke Police Department. And that once we do that, there shouldn't be a Holyoke police officer that goes out on the street that doesn't have a taser capacity. To me, that makes those police officers safer. It makes our community safer. It makes our community relations with the police department better. And I'm pleased to be able to provide that. Second one is the Valley Opportunity Council. They also work with Alianza to provide emergency stabilization into their apartments. So they provide a certain level that in working with Alianza, we can get people temporary housing. Obviously, Alianza wants to get them permanent stable housing. So it's a balance. They work together, and that's $164,062. And the last program I'm funding today is ROCA, Behavioral Health Interventions, $250,000 to provide work opportunities and mentorship targeted especially for individuals at high risk of gun violence. I know, and I just met with the chief yesterday about grants in terms of working with ROCA. I mean, we've done a lot of good things. We need to find ways to keep working with them. If we can reduce gun violence, the community obviously is a lot safer. These individuals have a chance for a better life. And I'm hoping that all of these things can and will make a significant difference in people's lives. It is not, these are not easy decisions. I've had people that want me to go one way, go this, do that. And believe me, they're not easy decisions. What I tried to do as much as I can, and I hope I've done relatively well, is provide long-term impact as well as some immediate programs which will have long-term impact. And that's been my goal from day one. I'll gladly take any questions or comments. It's such a quiet crew. Well, you can tell I'm almost done when I start to have people applaud me. You know, when you first get here, they're throwing darts at you. Hey, look, we've come a long way, and the federal money obviously has made a major impact. We're going to have a better community because of it, and we just got to keep figuring out how do we use it to the wisest extent possible to get the maximum benefit possible, and so that we all work together. So I appreciate you coming. Some of you I don't know if I'll ever see again, so I appreciate it. Although I'm thinking I might have one last, this is Terry Murphy leaving, press conference, and I'm working on that. But if not, I thank you all for covering what I have to say. I think we've brought Holyoke back into the spotlight in Western Massachusetts much more than it was. And I hope that the new mayor will make sure they also share as much information, as much highlight of what goes on in Holyoke as I have tried to do. So, last chance. Any questions?
I think I just want to say thank you. It's as simple as that. You've done a great job. You've been very clear, concise, open about the entire process, and I know I appreciate it and why I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian.
Have a great day. Stay safe, okay?